They were attending church, and they tried to fool God. They said and agreed to themselves, the husband and wife agreed that they would go sell their property and tell people for religious purposes so they could get more money out of it. In other words, they used the church to weigh on the hearts of people that were buying the property so they could gain more money, but then give a partial portion to the church. I know this. The church never commanded them to go out and sell their property in the first place. Nobody in the church ever told them how much money they had to give. They all just agreed, and they didn't want to look bad. They was more concerned about the outside than they were the inside. They went and sold their property and tried to make themselves look good, but yet only wanted to give a part of it because they wanted to profit for themselves. They had idols of the heart. They had things built up in their heart that became a stumbling block to them, and it actually cost them their lives. And you might wonder today, well, that was then. This is now. Things are different. But I wonder if they are different. Maybe they're just disguised in another way. Maybe we're just not seeing it. Because here's what I see in the church. We're still seeing sexual immorality in the church. We're still seeing all forms of materialism or carnality in the church, where Paul talks about the carnal Christian. Did you know that you don't have to be well off to be materialistic? Do you know that? You can be the poorest person on the planet and be materialistic. You may not have anything, but you desire things. You want things. And they become your God. And you do whatever you can to get them. Immorality, we seem to wink our eyes at. Did you know today, and I've encountered these people, that they really think they're living for Christ, but in all actuality, they're living for the world because it shows in their everyday life. It shows in the way they talk. It shows in how they live and what they go for. But yet when they get around Christian people, they seem to want to hear from God. They want that Christian person to tell them that they're okay. In actuality, that they're not okay. This is sad. And even more than this, there are churches today filled with these kind of people. And even more sad, there are church leaders that are this way. There are board members this way, making spiritual decisions for their congregation. They're not filled with the Spirit. They're not of a good report, and they're not full of faith. They just have a status in the community and they become board members of the church. Do you remember those leaders of Israel who opposed Jesus? Do you remember what those leaders said to Jesus when he was working miracles? You are working miracles by the power of Beelzebub, by the devil. Now, are things the same today? Have you ever heard some church leaders say, well, speaking in tongues is of the devil? These spiritual gifts and things that are going to play on, that's of the devil? A very well-known church leader is saying this today. He actually has made a great big conference out of and going against these spiritual gifts. You know who it is? Should I even tell you? John MacArthur has launched an attack on spiritual gifts and saying they are of the devil. People that are charismatic in their faith, people that are worshiping in the Spirit and speaking in tongues are actually blaspheming God, is what he is saying. Now, folks, I'm not coming against his ministry. I'm just telling you things that he's saying. Prominent church leaders, the same as the people that Jesus encountered in his day. He said, if you don't believe in me, at least believe the miracles that I'm doing, the works that I do. And they refused. They refused. They refused to admit they were wrong. They refused because of their pride. They have refused to see the truth. And therefore called Jesus the devil, the Son of God. Now, folks, the same thing's going on today. Many churches are claiming today that these things are not of God. And so many church people, Christian people, are confused about this. Folks, when are we going to get back to the Word? When are we going to read? I just ask you, for any church leader that might claim that spiritual gifts are of the devil, have you ever asked them to read 1 Corinthians 14? Have you ever asked them to read verse 39? In that chapter 14, do you know what it says? Do not forbid to speak with tongues. It says that. And he says, especially if you prophesy, he wants everyone to prophesy. But he says right there, do not forbid to speak with tongues. That's in the Word of God. When are we going to get back to desiring God, the basis of our faith, and desiring and hungering after God? And stop allowing these idols of the heart to distract us. You see what this hunger is, what we need to understand, the level of hunger that we must have.
Amen.
Have you ever went without food for a period of time? Who in here has ever fasted before? And I know I'm not trying to get you to bore in yourself. You ever fasted before? What do you think about when you're fasting? Now be honest. Oh, brother, when I'm fasting, I'm in my spiritual mode and I'm focused. And yeah, you might be, but you're thinking about that first meal you're going to eat when you break that fast too. I'm not going to lie to you, I do. That's one thing. That's one of the challenges of fasting. Make sure you get that out. But it opens your eyes to realizing how satisfied we really are. You know, we are, everything in our life revolves around food. What are you going to do when you get out of church today? Most of you are. And some of you are like, no, I just eat one meal a day. If you have all that, that's great. But I don't. Let's be honest. And when we're not hungry, we have a sense of satisfaction. I always think about going on a diet and fasting after I just got done eating a big meal. Got to get a witness? Man, I think I'm going to fast tomorrow. Tomorrow morning comes, well, I think I'll fast the next day. Well, maybe next week. Lord, if it's you, I'll fast one day this month, or maybe this summer sometime, Lord. Maybe I'll fast this fall. It comes, well, Lord, maybe the first year, I'll turn over a new leaf and I'll fast the first year. You got that big deal coming up, we got that party coming up, you guys are going to get all good and full. I'm going to fast on Sunday. Sunday morning comes along, well, maybe I'll fast Monday. All right? Does that not happen? Oh, Shane, you're a hypocrite. You're the only one that does that. Maybe I am. I'm just being honest. Let's be real. You see, when we're not hungry, we're not desiring. But whenever your belly is empty, there's nothing that speaks louder than an empty stomach. Anyone got a baby? Any parents out there have a baby at one time? That baby knows when it's hungry. And that baby will let you know too. With a pretty loud voice. Amen? Amen? You see, I just wonder if God is hearing us crying out. You see where we're going with this? The hunger level. Not the Hunger Games. The hunger level. Your level of hunger for God, I believe, is the key here. Are we so satisfied in our lives that we're not realizing how empty that we are? Did you know that God will not reward people who have idols of the hearts? Did you know that? It's time for you to understand where the real hunger is and what we really need. I want to ask you once again to take a look at Ezekiel chapter 16. Now I want to read it. Like I said, thumb through back in the book of Ezekiel. One of the major prophets, an easy book to find. You get Jeremiah and Isaiah, just keep going towards the New Testament, you'll find it. We're going to go to Ezekiel 16. I want to read two verses to you. I want you to see this. We're going to read verses 49 and 50. Are you there? Look, this was the iniquity of her sister Sodom. She and her daughter had pride, fullness of food, and abundance of idleness. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. And they were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw fit. Now, if you read that whole chapter, you'll see where Israel was told they had humble beginnings, that who their sister was, who their father was, where they came from. There was actually nothing about them, that God had pity on them and how He raised them up and brought them from a doomed nation that was enslaved for over 400 years. They were doomed. Okay? And God brought them out of His great love. He brought them out, brought them through the sea, made a nation out of them. He was telling them, reminding them of this, and now they have pride. The very first thing, they had pride. And then, from the pride, they had fullness of food. They had all they wanted to eat. Abundance of idleness was the next thing. No longer was that hunger that they had for God. No longer did they have a hunger and desire to know more what God said to them. They had abundance of idleness, which is condemned in the Scriptures. Did you know that? Idle hands, He talks about. The folding of the hands, He talks about. He talks about that ant, he says, that we should consider before a sluggard. Different things he condemns. He condemns idleness. One thing I never said, when I was living at home with my parents, I learned very quickly not to ever say that I'm bored. You witness kids? Any kids in here? Parents, if your kids tell you that they're bored, I challenge you to find them something to do. Give them a paintbrush, give them a shovel, give them something to do. They will learn from it. From the abundance of idleness, she did not strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. She no longer cared. Stinks to be you, dude. If you're off in the ditch, your car's broken down, I'm on my way to church. I don't have time to stop and help you. Get out of church, I got to hurry up and get up here to DiMaggio's for